Good day, dear students. I'm again with you. Today we are going to speak about lexical problems of translation. Though each word in the language has its own meaning, the actual information it conveys in the text depends, and to a great extent, on its contextual environment. Today we are going to speak about some lexical problems that you may occur during the translation. So we have got context-free words and context-bound words. Now we are going to speak about this. Context-free words are mainly found among proper names or just geographical names or terminology and so on, which you may find equivalent without just looking at the context because they are context-free words. For example, the names of ships, or the names of periodicals or names of films or personal names can be translated without looking at their contextual meaning. For example, we can use a transcription of these kind of words. For example, Queen Elizabeth, and so on. And we have got minor exceptions. For example, sometimes we can use transliteration while translating the proper names. For example, Dorset, Dorset. Bonners, ferry, Bonners ferry. So in this very case, you may use transliteration, and as well as to preserve some elements of source language. They use equivalent resembles in the familiar pattern, for example, Hercules and Hercules, and so on. Second exception, sometimes we can see with the historical personalities, Charles first one, Karl I, James II, and Yakov II, and so on. They have got their own formal names in the target language. Some geographical names are made up of common nouns and are translated word for word, United Nations of America, and so on. And you can see from the screen several examples for text-free words. And after my lecture, you can look through very carefully at them and learn them by heart. So so many Russian equivalents have been formed from the English terms by transcription, or for example, computer, shadowing, and so on, or president, television, and so on. And these are international words. When we speak about the translation of technical terms, of course, technical terms may have their own just definite forms in the target language, and that's why they are also text-free words. Now let's move to text-bound words that especially we have to look at their meanings, because a lot of words are polysemantic, or they have got a lot of meanings, and in order to give the meaning from the context, we have to analyze or just understand what kind of meaning should we choose. What does only one word mean in the first context, and what does the same word mean in the second context? And that's why, in order to choose them, we have to look back at the dictionary and look through their meanings. And translator tries to choose the equivalent according to the contextual meaning. For example, they have gotten neologisms like not wanted, you see on the screen, and what kind of equivalent lacking words can be, how can we translate equivalent lacking words? Sometimes they can be reales, which doesn't exist in the target language. Of course, here translators should follow, just look at the dictionary, and they should know it beforehand. In order, if you cannot translate, you have to look through or ask. And of course, translators' false friends also sometimes confuse the translators. And in order to have a good translation, you have to learn them by heart. After the lecture, you can look through all the examples, which are just on the screen. Sometimes the word public is общественный, sometimes they confuse with the other words, and so on. Now, when we speak about lexical transformations, they are the method of logical thinking by means of which we convey meanings of foreign words in the context and find their analogies in the language of translation, which don't coincide with the dictionary. And lexical transformation are very important, especially different languages have what different features of the same phenomenon or notion is the meaning of words, and that's why we need sometimes the lexical transformations in the target language while translating. For example, only one word heavy, it has got a lot of meanings. Сильный, обложенный, бурный, интенсивный, обильный, and others that you can see on the screen. And if this word can just you meet in the context, which one should you choose? And that's why before choosing the translation, you have to just rely or just look at the dictionary. And the next one, you see the word heavy has got 16 meanings, and you should know the different norms of combinability. Which word can be combined with which word. For example, rich sunlight in Russian, яркий солнечный свет, not богатый. So you should know the combinability of words, which words may come with which word. And then you can see some examples for combinability of words and reasons for making the language just linguistic transformation. It's very important. You can see on the screen, on the table, the types of transformations like generalization. You generalize the meaning in the target language, or antonymic translation. You antonymically you translate the phrase, and while in the source language it can be negative sentence, but in a target language it can be positive sentence. Transcription or transliteration. So we can also use word-for-word translation and so on. So after the lecture, you can look at this PPT again thoroughly and learn by heart all the information that you see on the screen. Word-to-word translation especially is literal translation translated by the translators. Thank you very much for being with me. If any questions, you are welcome.